I'm a 30-year-old woman. And for as long as I can remember, my younger sister Olivia has been the family favorite. Growing up, our parents compared everything: grades, clothes, friends, but it became worse when we became adults. I focused on my architecture career while Olivia married Derek, the startup founder. Overnight, she became the perfect daughter. And family gatherings turned into highlight reels of her new house, travels, and dinners with important people. I didn't mind the praise at first. But when every conversation started with Olivia and Derek just bought, or Olivia's planning another party, I stopped sharing anything about my work. During one dinner, Olivia joked that I was married to my blueprints. Everyone laughed, and I smiled along, though the remarks stuck in the air. When she invited me for the holidays at her new home, I accepted, thinking it would be a nice change. Her house was spotless, perfectly staged, and smelled like designer candles. She made sure I noticed every detail. Every comment from her felt like a gentle jab. How peaceful it was to have someone to come home to. How quiet my apartment must be, how I'd understand real joy once I had someone like Derek. That evening, Derek and I ended up talking while she was setting the table. He asked about one of my recent projects, mentioning how much he admired people who built things from scratch. His tone was polite, but the compliment didn't go unnoticed. When I came down the next morning, Olivia's attitude had shifted. She cut him off whenever he tried to speak and acted as if she was hosting a stranger, not her sister. A few days after I left, she called, accusing me of flirting with Derek and being jealous of her marriage. The accusation caught me off guard. I denied it once calmly, but when she pushed again, I told her to believe what she wanted and ended the call. From that day on, I stayed silent. She could keep her story and her perfect life. I didn't care enough to fix her narrative. While I was reviewing client plans one morning, my phone rang. It was Derek. I almost didn't answer, assuming it was a pocket dial, but he spoke quickly, asking for professional help. Something about a renovation budget that had gone sideways. I hesitated. It sounded like work I could easily do, but the situation felt complicated. Still, his tone was desperate, not flirtatious or familiar. He mentioned he'd tried to manage things himself, but it was falling apart. I agreed on one condition. We'd keep it strictly professional. No family talk. No personal conversation, just numbers, plans, and invoices. The moment I hung up, I realized that whether I liked it or not, Olivia's perfect world was starting to crack, and somehow, I was about to be pulled right into the middle of it. The next morning after Derek's call, I drove to the property he mentioned. It was a large, two-story home still surrounded by construction fencing. The driveway was filled with delivery trucks and discarded tiles stacked near the front porch. Derek met me at the door looking exhausted. His shirt sleeves were rolled up, and there were papers scattered across the kitchen island. He explained that the renovation had doubled in cost and several contractors were demanding early payments. He handed me a folder filled with invoices and receipts. I noticed 3 different design companies listed for the same living room layout, all charging overlapping fees. The building permits were incomplete, and the city inspection form was unsigned. While I walked through the house, half the kitchen stood unfinished. The backyard deck had been started twice, and several materials still hadn't arrived. Derek followed behind, quietly, scribbling notes. When I asked about the missing signatures, he said Olivia had been handling the payments herself. She had insisted on marble countertops imported from Italy and custom fixtures that were still stuck in shipping. I took pictures of every issue, then sat at the dining table with my laptop to calculate a new plan. I drafted a report listing where money had been lost and what steps could fix it. Derek leaned on the counter, rubbing his forehead, saying the project was supposed to be their dream home. I reminded him that every project could be salvaged if handled properly. Halfway through our discussion, the front door opened. Olivia's voice carried through the hall before she appeared, dressed like she was hosting a magazine shoot instead of walking into a construction site. The moment her eyes landed on me, her smile froze. She asked why I was there, glancing between us. Derek started to explain, but she cut him off and said it wasn't necessary, that she already had a designer and didn't need outside interference. She walked around the room, pretending to inspect my notes. Then she made a joke about me finally seeing what a real home looks like, laughing just loud enough for the workers nearby to hear. Derek tried to redirect the conversation back to the permits, but she kept interrupting until I quietly closed my folder. I told Derek I'd email the report and stepped outside before things turned ugly. That evening, I sent him the full breakdown, every duplicated charge, every delayed shipment, and the contact information for reliable contractors who could finish the job correctly. My message was short and professional. I didn't expect a reply, but an hour later, an email arrived. It was a simple thank you and a request for a new job. I said to him, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. By the end of the week, the new team had taken over the site. Olivia stopped posting her usual updates and instead shared vague quotes online about jealous people pretending to help. I didn't comment. Our mother called soon after, her tone gentle but pointed. She told me Olivia felt crowded and that maybe I should let her handle her own marriage. I explained that Derek had reached out to me, not the other way around, and that the job was finished. She paused before changing the subject, clearly uncomfortable. Over the next several days, Derek's messages became shorter. He only wrote about inspection dates and invoices, never anything personal. One afternoon, he called to confirm that all permits had been approved. Before hanging up, he went quiet for a moment. Then he said, almost to himself, that I might have been right about what was really broken. I didn't ask what he meant. I saved my files, closed the folder, and moved on to the next client. But the silence that followed told me more than any explanation could. A few weeks after the renovation meeting, Derek sent a short update through email. He had replaced the contractors and fixed the permits using my recommendations. The renovation was back on schedule, and he said the house might finally be finished before summer. I replied with a short acknowledgement and marked the project as closed. After that, Olivia disappeared from family chats. She stopped replying to messages and skipped Sunday calls, claiming she was too busy or tired. Our mother mentioned that Shed sounded distracted on the phone, repeating the same stories but forgetting details halfway through. It wasn't unusual for Olivia to be dramatic, but the silence felt heavier than usual. One afternoon, a cousin called to gossip about a charity gala Olivia and Derek had attended together, and according to witnesses, the night ended with an argument near the valet station. It started over something small, but the cousin overheard Derek saying he was tired of outsiders interfering in his marriage. The remarks spread fast. Within a day, 3 relatives texted me, asking if it was about me. I didn't reply to any of them. A week later, Derek stopped by my office unexpectedly. He looked different, neater, calmer, but with the kind of tiredness that doesn't come from work. He placed an envelope on my desk with a check for the remaining consulting fee. We kept the exchange short. Before he left, he paused at the door and said I was easier to talk to than most people had worked with. Then he caught himself, muttered an apology, and left. I sent him a polite message confirming the payment was received and closed the file. That was supposed to be the end of it. A few days later, my phone rang while I was reviewing blueprints. It was Olivia. I almost ignored it, but she called again. Immediately, when I answered, her tone was sharp. She demanded to know if I'd been meeting Derek behind her back. I told her about the payment and reminded her that the work had been finished for weeks. She accused me of encouraging him to speak against her, claiming I'd made him see things differently. I explained that Derek had hired me for professional help and that I had no interest in her marriage. She didn't care. Her words turned into threats about making sure everyone knew what I'd really done. The call ended abruptly. That night, our father called. He said Olivia had told him I was interfering. He asked for my version, and I told him exactly what happened. He believed me right away. Our mother, however, tried to calm things down, saying both of us should stop dragging the family into it. In the days that followed, Olivia's social media posts became erratic. 1 hour, she'd post pictures of her and Derek smiling at dinner. The next, the same photos would vanish. Then came long captions about loyalty and betrayal, followed by another disappearance. Late one night, my phone lit up with a single message from Derek. It read, "Thank you for staying professional. Things are unraveling fast." I stared at it for a moment, then deleted the thread without replying. The next morning, a new message arrived from Olivia. It was short, written in the same dramatic way she used when we were kids. It said, "You've ruined everything." I didn't respond. I didn't need to. The damage she was talking about had already started long before I stepped in. After Olivia's message, accusing me of ruining everything, I didn't hear from either of them. 4 days. Family chats were quiet, even my parents avoided mentioning her name. A week later, while I was finalizing drawings for another client, an email from Derek appeared in my inbox. It was brief and professional. He asked to meet at my office to discuss a matter involving the property. I assumed it was about invoices or paperwork, so I set a time during office hours. When he arrived, I was in a hurry. 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 When he arrived, he looked like he hadn't slept much. His usual sharp look was replaced by rumpled clothes and a distracted expression. He placed a folder on the desk and said he planned to sell the house. He explained that the debts tied to it had become too heavy. Olivia had taken private loans using his name, claiming they were for finishing touches. But the money had gone toward parties, luxury furniture, and expensive trips she never paid off. He said he discovered the loans when a lender called his office demanding payment. By then, interest had ballooned, and several accounts were overdue. He said he had moved into the guest room weeks ago. The house had started to feel like a museum. He said he had moved into the guest room weeks ago. The house had started to feel like a museum. He said he had moved into the guest room weeks ago. The house had started to feel like a museum. Perfect in photos, hollow in reality. He wanted to cut his losses before the bank stepped in. I told him I could refer him to 2 real estate agents and a financial advisor who could handle the sale quickly. I gave him their contacts, printed a few copies of relevant documents, and kept the meeting short. That night, around 9, I heard loud knocking on my apartment door. When I opened it, Olivia stood there, eyes red, holding her phone like she was ready to record. She demanded to know why Derek had come to see me and accused me of encouraging him to sell the house. I told her he'd scheduled a professional meeting and that it wasn't my business what he decided about his home. She paced in front of me. She paced in front of my doorway, talking fast, saying I'd always wanted to take her place, that Derek trusted me more than her. I stood still and told her she needed to leave before the neighbors called security. She didn't stop. Her tone shifted from rage to desperation, her words tumbling over each other. When she finally paused, I said clearly that I wouldn't be involved in her marriage anymore. I closed the door while she was still talking in the hallway. An hour later, our mother called. She said Olivia was upset, claiming Derek confided in me about personal things. I explained I hadn't seen him outside work and that the only conversation we'd had was about selling his property. She said, I didn't know what to do. 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 She sighed and said she didn't want to take sides. But I could tell Olivia had already fed her version of the story. By the weekend, whispers began spreading through family circles. Someone mentioned that Derek and Olivia's house was on the market. The listing didn't use their names, but the photos gave it away. The marble counters, the open staircase, the oversized chandelier she once bragged about. A few days later, a local society blog posted photos from a business fundraiser. Derek was there, standing beside a few colleagues. Olivia was nowhere in sight. The caption mentioned the founder appearing solo for the first time. That was the moment I knew. Their image, the one she'd spent years polishing, had started to collapse in public, and I didn't need to say a single word for everyone to see it happening. A few days after Derek's solo appearance at the fundraiser, my parents came to visit me. They looked uneasy, speaking in low tones, even though no one else was around. My mother said Olivia had been canceling appointments, skipping lunches she had planned, and sending confusing messages to relatives. She'd tell one cousin she was moving to another city, and another that she and Derek were reconciling. My father admitted he'd tried calling Derek himself, but Derek hadn't answered. 2 days later, I heard another knock at my door. It was late evening, and when I opened it, Olivia stood there again. But this time she wasn't furious. She looked small, like she hadn't slept in days. Her hands shook as she held her phone. Without waiting for an invitation, she stepped inside and sat down at the kitchen table. She asked if I'd known it would end like this. I told her I didn't know anything, except that Derek had seemed tired for a long time. She started pacing, saying Derek's pride couldn't handle her success, that he was intimidated by how well she managed things. But as she talked, the story began to break apart. Her words slowed down, and she finally admitted Derek had found several credit cards opened under his company's name. She'd been using them for vacations, new clothes, even the marble shipment. That had caused the delays. When Derek confronted her, she said she tried to explain that it was temporary, that she planned to fix it once his next investment paid off. He didn't listen. She shouted. He shouted back, and in the middle of it, she grabbed his laptop and smashed it on the floor. That was when he packed a bag and left. My parents had tried to reach him afterward. My father even went to his office, but Derek refused to meet. He told one of his assistants to tell my father that he was done negotiating with denial. The next day, Olivia sent out invitations for a family dinner. She told everyone it was to celebrate a new beginning. I almost didn't go, but curiosity got the better of me. The dinner was awkward from the start. Olivia had gone overboard with decorations, flowers, candles, and a printed seating chart. Derek arrived late, wearing a neutral expression. He greeted everyone politely but didn't touch her hand when she tried to guide him to the table. Throughout the meal, she kept smiling, asking exaggerated questions and laughing at things no one found funny. When a cousin asked about Derek's business expansion, she jumped in, boasting that they were thriving more than ever. Derek set down his glass and said calmly that they'd actually had to start laying off staff due to mismanagement. The table went silent. Someone tried to change the subject, but the tension had already shifted. Olivia's smile stayed frozen, her fork clinking against her plate. Within minutes, guests began finding excuses to leave. By the end of the night, the perfect image Shed spent years polishing had cracked in front of everyone. After the last person left, Olivia was left alone. She was left alone. She was left alone. She was left alone. Olivia stood in the middle of the room, staring at the untouched dessert table. She finally said she didn't know who she was without people admiring her. I told her quietly that rebuilding meant being honest first, not pretending harder. She didn't answer. When I started cleaning up, she followed me to the guest room and asked if she could stay the night. I agreed. Later, as I was turning off the lights, she spoke from the doorway. She said Derek was already talking to someone else. For clarity, she called it. I remembered Derek's tired voice weeks earlier. The way Head said things were broken. It didn't sound like betrayal. It sounded like someone who had finally reached his limit. When I woke up the next morning, Olivia was sitting at the kitchen, staring at her phone. Her coffee had gone cold. She didn't look up until she spoke, saying Derek had sent her an email. She handed me the phone without a word. The email was short, formal, and final. He had filed for divorce. Attached were bank records, copies of the company credit card statements, and screenshots of messages between her and a lender. It wasn't anger. It was documentation. She stayed quiet for a long time after that. Then, like a floodgate opening, she started talking about everything she had done to keep the image of their life alive. The designer trips she posted about had been partially borrowed. The lavish dinners often paid on credit. She wanted everyone, especially our parents, to think she was thriving. I didn't interrupt. She needed to talk, not to be consoled. Around noon, she started calling Derek. Each attempt went to voicemail. She tried his office, but his assistant said he wasn't available and asked that future calls go through his lawyer. Olivia hung up, her hands shaking. A few minutes later, she opened her laptop and began drafting a long post about fake loyalty and marriages built on betrayal, but deleted it halfway through. Our parents arrived that evening. Our father sat beside her, reading the printed divorce documents in silence. Our mother tried to say it was just a fight that could be fixed, until she saw the evidence of the accounts and the loan agreements in Derek's name. For the first time, she didn't defend Olivia. She folded the papers and told her she had gone too far. Over the next few days, Olivia moved between anger and exhaustion. She stayed with me temporarily, sleeping late and leaving her phone on silent. Derek, meanwhile, finalized the house sale with one of the agents I had referred earlier. The transaction went through faster than anyone expected. Within 2 weeks, the perfect home Shed once bragged about was no longer theirs. When the official notice came, Olivia packed a few boxes and rented a small apartment on the city's edge. She said she needed some time to think about it. She said she needed some time to think about it. She said she needed some time to think about it. She said she needed some space. Our mother visited her once and came back teary-eyed, saying Olivia was living quietly, barely speaking, and spending hours writing notes that she never mailed. A month later, Derek called my office. His tone was steady, businesslike. He thanked me again for maintaining boundaries and said the paperwork for the sale was complete. He added that he wanted to clear any remaining financial ties with Olivia before closing accounts. I told him I appreciated the update and that our professional connection was over. That was the last time we spoke. After Derek's call, Olivia reached out again. She showed up outside my office during lunch, saying Derek had told her I'd been helpful. She looked uneasy, like she wanted a fight but couldn't find the words. Instead, she asked if I thought he would come back. I told her that wasn't my question to answer. She nodded, then said she was sorry for dragging me into everything. She left before I could respond. Weeks passed quietly. Family gatherings returned to normal, though Olivia didn't attend. Our parents mentioned she had started freelance work. Small projects, nothing extravagant. Every now and then, I'd hear from mutual friends that she kept mostly to herself, no longer posting the curated updates she used to flood everyone with. Then one afternoon, a plain white envelope arrived at my office with no return address. Inside was a pile of paper. I had to write it down. 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 It was a short note written in Olivia's familiar handwriting. He's asking for advice again. Should I answer? I didn't call her. I didn't ask what she meant. Whether Derek had reached out about work closure or something else. I knew stepping back had been the only thing keeping peace intact. I folded the letter and put it away in my desk drawer. By the end of that year, the entire story of Olivia and Derek had become a whisper in family conversations, a cautionary tale about pride and performance. Our parents stopped comparing us, realizing too late how their constant praise of appearances had helped fuel her obsession with perfection. I focused on my projects, rebuilding my schedule, and closing the last files connected to Derek's former company. Sometimes, when clients asked for design recommendations, I caught myself avoiding the kind of grandeur Olivia used to chase. I preferred simple, clean lines, things that lasted. Months later, I learned through a colleague that Olivia had moved again, to another city entirely. She'd taken a new job with a small interior design firm, starting over quietly. I didn't reach out. There was nothing left to fix between us. The last time I saw her name was on a holiday card she sent our parents. It was signed only with her first name, no return address, just a short message that said "Learning Peace." I never heard from Derek again either. The last update about him came from a news article about his company restructuring under new leadership. He had sold his shares and stepped away completely. Looking back, it felt strange how something that started as a renovation project turned into the unraveling of an entire marriage, and in some ways, a family dynamic that had been broken for years. I didn't cause it, but being near it showed me how fragile appearances can be when they're built on borrowed ground. By the time spring arrived, I had cleared out my desk and found the old note Olivia had sent, the one about Derek asking for advice. I read it once more, then placed it back in the drawer without answering. Some doors, I realized, were better left closed. When I first read the note that said, "He's asking for advice again," Should I answer? I recognized the handwriting immediately. Olivia hadn't signed it, but the slant of her letters and the way she looped her Y gave it away. I folded it once and placed it back in the envelope. There was nothing to answer. Some things didn't need to be reopened. I locked the note inside my desk drawer and went back to work. Weeks passed quietly. Family conversations mentioned that Olivia had moved back into the city. She'd rented a small apartment near the art district, kept to herself, and skipped every family. Our mother said she'd seen her once walking out of a library with a backpack instead of her usual handbag. She looked thinner, calmer, older. No one really knew what she was doing, and for the first time, no one tried to guess. One morning, my assistant told me a man had called the office, asking for a final report on the property sale ID handled last year. It was Derek. His message was short and formal, requesting a statement for the closing file. I asked my assistant to prepare it and send it directly. There was no need for me to speak to him personally. By the end of that week, I heard through my father that the divorce had been finalized. Derek had kept his company, and Olivia had received her share of the settlement. No drama, no announcements, just signatures and silence. About a month later, I stopped by a small cafe downtown after a meeting. While waiting for my order, I noticed someone sitting near the window. It took a moment to realize it was Olivia. Her hair was shorter, her clothes simple. She was writing in a small notebook with a pencil, no jewelry, no phone on the table. I considered leaving without saying anything, but she looked up and met my eyes before I could turn away. She smiled faintly and waved me over. I walked to her table, and we talked for the first time in nearly a year. Her tone was different, steady, polite, almost quiet. She thanked me for never using her downfall against her, for not telling everyone how bad things had gotten. I told her there had never been anything to gain from exposing her, I just wanted peace. She nodded, saying she finally understood that the rivalry had only ever existed in her mind. After a moment, she mentioned Derek. She said he had called her once not to reconcile, but to say goodbye properly. He told her that he respected how I had stayed neutral through everything. Then she added, almost like a confession, that he had told her I never made chaos out of truth. The line hung between us for a while. For the first time, our conversation wasn't a performance. She didn't defend, justify, or compare. She told me she had started evening design classes at a local community center. The work wasn't glamorous, but she liked learning again. She said she was practicing living without needing an audience. I listened quietly, watching how her voice didn't tremble anymore. Before she left, she pulled a small white envelope from her bag and placed it on the table. Inside was a check for the consulting work I had done during the renovation, the same payment Derek had tried to give her years ago. She said it was time to close every open tab between us. I didn't argue. I hoped she'd find something real to build this time. She smiled, thanked me, and walked out. Months passed without another word. One afternoon, a friend mentioned seeing Olivia's name in a local design newsletter. She had moved to another city to work on small interior projects for a housing firm. No photos, no interviews, just her name listed quietly among the staff. I didn't try to contact her. There wasn't anything left to fix. She had finally stepped away from the life she'd been performing for so long. When I think about everything now, the comparisons, the accusations, the years of tension, it all feels like a different lifetime. The story didn't end in Dramatic closure. I didn't want to be a part of it. I didn't want to be a part of it. I didn't want some big emotional speech. It just faded out naturally, replaced by quiet understanding. Olivia found a new start, and I found peace in distance. For the first time, our lives weren't competing stories anymore. They were simply separate ones, each moving forward without needing to prove anything. And that, more than anything, felt like the real ending.